from 2014 to 2016. His latest poetry book is Borrowed Bones from Curbstone Northwestern University Press. He's best known for the memoirs Always Running, La Vida Loca, Gang Days, and Gang Days in LA. And it calls you back an odyssey through love, addiction, revolutions, and healing.
So excited. I know I'm going to tune in. I'm going to watch all of these poets. What a treat. What a dream. So yeah, I'm so super excited. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you for watching.
Hi, everyone. My name is Xochitl-Julisa Bermejo, and I am going to be sharing poetry with you today for the Graham Parks RLA Voices 2020. I am super honored to be repping the big read today with LA legends Luis J. Rodriguez and Mike Sonkson. If you have any questions for me, I'm going to go through some poems, and then maybe if you have questions, you can put them in the chat, and I will try to get to them at the end if there's time. Today, I am sharing some love poems with you. I know that quarantine and social distancing has been pretty hard on a lot of us. We can't be with those we love. We can't hug a lot of the people we love, and that is hard. And so I'm offering these poems to you as a little bit of comfort. The first three poems I'm going to share were written while I was at residency at the Gettysburg National Military Park in partnership with the National Parks Arts Foundation and the Poetry Foundation. There I was invited to stay in an 1860s farmhouse on the Gettysburg battlefield for 3 weeks. Before going out there, I was pretty apprehensive. It's a scary thing to do, to live on a battlefield in a Civil War site, so there's lots of things to be afraid of. And before I went, I made sure to prep myself with some crystals and candles and gifts for my friends, and I took a photo of my grandmother with me. In the photo, she's holding me, and she's always my protection, and she is always with me. So this first poem is about her, and this is also a little protection for all of us in these hard times right now. And things went out of order. Oh, sorry. Protection Prayer. Klingel House, Gettysburg National Military Park. Ubalda Duran Bermejo, guide me through this hallowed place. Help me keep judgment keen and body safe. Wrap me in your arm, and with lips puckered and eyes on face, suspend me in that space before the kiss. Locating the dead in a wheat field you visited as a white butterfly. Grandma, this is to say thank you for winged blessing, chirping grasses, gentle moss blanketing stone walls. I survey the grounds alone with nothing but my brown skin to offer. This is how I attend to what's buried in your name. This next poem was also written out there. So like I said, it was an 1860s farmhouse. 2 soldiers were said to have died underneath the house. I was really scared of ghosts. During the day, I was afraid they were going to toss me down the stairs. At night, I would keep my Netflix on blaring so I wouldn't hear anything. I never turned off the lights. And a week into this, in this state of constant fear, I decided I had to change something. So I went out into the battlefield and I started to invite the ghosts to speak to me. And I asked them for permission to be there. And from that moment on, the whole experience changed for me. And this is that poem. Ghost interview with a soldier in the peach orchard. Dried peach pits litter the ground, reminding me of bones. Are your bones below the soil? Is this why you care for fields dressed in morning fog, snagging on fences? How do you want to be remembered? If you could write anything on one of these monuments lining the orchard, what would you write? Have you ever pledged allegiance to a flag, any flag? Have you ever loved a flag like your mother's arms? Speaking of your mother's arms, how do they smell when tucked tight below your nose? Like fresh baked loaves? Or maybe stone? I want a better simile, but I need you to tell me. If you could go back, what would you say to your father? What would you teach your daughter? I still hope to have a child, so consider this advice. In your final moments, who did you think of? Did you write this someone to not be frightened, to sell what you can? Parrot your mother, the way she flirts with customers makes them laugh. Remember, your great-grandfather sold raspados in the church square with syrups made from scratch. Remember, your grandfather constructed a rascuache barbershop behind his Boyle Heights home, furnished with an authentic barber chair, white porcelain and smooth. Remember, your father drove you on afternoon turnarounds to Tijuana for new stock in a brown Volkswagen van. Hot beige vinyl stuck to your skin. Across the border, cousins manning a taco shop didn't speak your language. Skinned goats hung hooked from the kitchen ceiling. Pink chicle became payment for a day's work. These next two poems are from my book, Posada, Offerings of Witness and Refuge. This first one is a love poem to Boyle Heights. My father's parents moved to LA from Xochitl-Julisa, Jalisco in the 1950s, and they lived in this home in Boyle Heights for decades. And this poem I'm about to read is a memory that happened out in front of these steps. And so this is for East LA, mi gente, Boyle Heights. Paper birds. Slathering homemade glue, they make kites from newspaper and bamboo. Mira, look, mira, like this. This is how we did it in Teocatiche. A father demonstrates how to structure the body by bowing a wing, fanning a tail. The children, Gabriel, Diane, Andres, Angelica, Ricky, Mickey, Maggie, Erica, Gloria, Abram, and Xochitl, unroll across a manicured green lawn, front stoop to black gate. Safely corralled from Fairmont noise, they work for flight with hands. Whose black and white bird will catch the wind? Whose will crash and die? Yours is full of holes. I'll call it patchy. Ricky baptizes Maggie's creation, and one by one, they each offer their animals to the sun. Beaks first, yarn tails cascading like quetzal feathers. At Wabash and Evergreen, a little girl exits the corner market, newly bought saladito on her tongue, to discover handcrafted parrots reaching over rooftops, clearing the old synagogue, now New Christian. She imagines the houses turning to paper too and lifting from concrete. Tonight, she will dream her intestine is the string and she the kite. Tonight, she will dream. This next one is a love poem to all those crossing in the desert currently, to all those who've crossed in the past, and to everyone incarcerated in camps along the border. My heart is with you, and I fight for your freedom. I didn't know I could love the desert. Maybe I always heard the desert calling my name in the middle of the night, keeping me up restless. Maybe that's why I didn't know I could love. I was grumpy from lack of sleep. I didn't know I would want to hug the rounded cholla. Cholla, if I could, I would sew a felt and string teddy bear version of you with stubby arms and purple flowers to hug at night. You look so full and content. I didn't know cactus could be content. I didn't know cactus had more than one name. Beryl, cholla, nopal, saguaro. I have yet to write a poem for the saguaro, the tall and proud saguaro honoring the sun with outstretched arms. Oh, I love outstretched arms. I love to dance with arms stretched out to the sky. Arms feel light like that. Sometimes I wish arms never had to come down. I do not love the come down and hangovers that demolish the brain, leaving trembles in the hands like after a bombing. I shouldn't compare Sunday morning wrecks to world destruction. But I can't help being a narcissist now and again. The wind kicks up dust and the little bits of white, soft dream. I want to float on one of those bits escaped from the branches of cottonwood. I want to be a bit of white, soft nothing floating between junipers at sunset, free to lift all the last bits of light. In Arizona, there is nothing light and delicate. But sometimes, in the middle of a heat stroke day, there can be laughter. I love laughter. Nancy found a cross-colored Rasta hat in a black trash bag of donated clothes from well-meaning church ladies. She put it on and did a little shimmy in bird camp. She momentarily forgot Border Patrol trucks patrolling the road just outside our gate. I momentarily forgot just being with Nancy was a crime. And we both laughed, just a little. I didn't know I could love Nancy. Mesas are for New Mexico, and canyons are for Arizona, and freeways are for LA, and everything is covered by an epidermis of dust. Dust on cars, dust on windows, dust on toes, dust in eyes, dust filming the teeth, your white teeth. Dust sticks like guilt. Somehow, I think I could love dust too. This next poem is a love poem for my mom. She broke her leg the day before Easter last year and had to have emergency surgery on Easter. And when she came home after that, we didn't know what our new reality was going to be like. It was a new normal, kind of like these days. And it was scary, but just yesterday, she walked 5 miles. And it's kind of one of those little blessings of quarantine that we've been taking morning walks every day. So this is for my mama. Mother Days. Mariachi trumpets sounded, and Mom threw a grito from deep inside her belly. Life praise and death cry pulsated from her throat like a gift from ancestors, while papel picado calaveras danced along pink walls. Flowers sprouted from tabletops and girls' heads, and grandchildren played viejitos. On the cake, La Catrina, dressed in purple frosting, mimicked Mom's smirk as if to say, not so fast. But that was another age, a 70th birthday celebration. Today, La Doña is in bed and deflated of hot air. Her instrument working overtime to heal a broken femur, to intertwine cells with a metal rod, make her music again. It's Mother's Day. She cries for her suegra and not her mother. She always made my favorite food, she whimpers. Picturing bowls of espinazo and mole. My mom didn't even know. She needs help calling forth a woman's spirit like butterfly. It flutters just beyond this bedroom window, this borrowed hospital bed. Grandma once taught me hospital beds are for kissing death, but now her lesson is patience. Together, we wait for mothers and daughters to return to trumpets. Thank you. And this is my last poem. It was written in 2017, soon after the election, and also right after my book was published, which you would think would be a happy time, but it was actually a time filled with lots of fear and anxiety for me. And so this poem is about that anxiety. So it might sound a lot like today. And I offered to you to just say that times change, things change, and we will persist. And I love you. One sweet day, a to-do list for the first days of spring. Rise and feed the cat staring you down from her corner of the bed. One scoop of food, one drag of water, and then back to blankets. Place head on pillow and try to recall if you dreamed last night. Try to recall if it was a nightmare. Try to recall if nightmare was memory masquerading as dream. Listen to the helicopters circling above your house. Let the sound continue to confuse dream and waking, nightmare and reality. See the cat happily return to bed, now well fed. Welcome the warmth of her body snuggled up against an arm. Consider rising, consider reading, consider walking. Notice the helicopters have not stopped circling and decide not to take a walk. Answer the phone call from your mother. There was a shooting in Temple City Sheriff Station. Oblige her command, stay inside. Rise a second time to make coffee, answer emails, grade, Google Temple City shooting, attempt to visualize the borderline between Temple City and San Gabriel. Read the text from your 11-year-old nephew. Stay home. There was a shooting near our home and my school. And then the next, take Chewy inside, please. Call the dog in from the yard and listen to him scratch at the door to be let back out. Watch the dog and the cat stare at each other down through a plastic gate. Try to ignore the helicopter still circling and how your insides have begun to spin. Take a breath to push away the anxiety creeping up. Remember an article that said to make the bed, clean the house, take a walk. Remember that you cannot take a walk. In the kitchen, wash the dishes, wipe down the counter. In the bathroom, scoop out the litter, replace the roll of toilet paper. Do this while listening to Mariah Carey songs. Notice the helicopters are gone and decide it's your turn to leave too. Grab a bag, tie sneakers, and head for the street. Smell the perfumed air, heavy with bougainvillea blooms and loquat berries. Pick a berry and bite its yellow tart meat. Feel sticky juice between fingers. Enter the library and check out books on loving and grief. Remember Rita Moreno and how she gave too much of herself to Marlon Brando. Promise not to do the same. Back on the sidewalk, see an old dog hobble down the street without a leash or collar. Notice his sagging black balls as he raises a stiff leg to pee. Call him good boy as you walk by. Take in each bird, each squirrel hopping from branch to branch. Breathe in purple tropical blooms, too bright in the midday sun, and then remember to breathe again. Thank you all. Those are my poems. And I really enjoyed being here with everyone. Next up is Mike the Poet Songson, an LA legend. He knows so much about LA history. I adore him, and he supports so many people. And then after him is Luis J. Rodriguez, another wonderful human being. I hope everyone has the honor of meeting him and knowing him because he's a great support to so many of us here in the city. And I just want to say thank you to our LA Voices. Thank you to Locutura, sorry. I'm a great fan, and I'm so excited that you're hosting. Thank you to Grant Park and everyone. La Catora, sorry, thank you. Just got a little tongue-tied there. Thank you to Grant Park and the City of LA and the NEA and the Big Read and all of those. I don't know if I can see any of the questions. I guess I still have, if I have a little time. Do I still have time? I did have one other poem I saved in case there was extra time. Okay, cool. So I'm going to read another poem. There's this cool book, Chavez Ravine, 1949 by Don Normack. There are black and white photos of the neighborhoods that used to exist in Chavez Ravine before they were torn down by the city and Dodger Stadium went up. The photos are beautiful, and it's important to remember LA's history. And these things keep happening, don't they? But this is inspired by one of the photos. This is called Mudcaked. Stone black eyes by boys wrestling feet away. She clutches her war-torn, Kewpie-faced bunny by one tattered ear. This is her bunny, her ally, her corner of dirt. Backs pressed to a wood-planked wall, they keep a dedicated lookout. Her stone eyes aim left, but Bunny's scratched out kind shift right. Boys can battle for brown grassed hills, but they won't snatch Bunny, one mud-caked, pumped-stuffed bunny, from her tight grip. When she goes in for the night, she will tie Bunny to a pipe with twine. Her bunny, her patch of dirt, her pipe and twine. Like a horse at a saloon, she will tie Bunny up before supper, before her mother can say, "Don't you dare bring that filthy thing in," a pointed finger commanding, "Basura." But Bunny is secured to a pipe with twine and enjoys 2 ears clogged with dirt. And I guess I still have a couple of minutes, so I wish I could answer some questions, but I don't see them. 4 minutes now. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I know. I'll do this one for my tia because I love all my tias and tios. And I miss them so much. We did a birthday drive-by, one of those birthday parades for my cousin, and I couldn't hug my uncle, and I just cried. So this is for all my tios and tias. I love you all. The hills of East LA are home. I remembered something. I remembered we used to go to a hill in LA to cut nopales with your grandmother and your tia Pepa. My aunt called me in the middle of the day not so long ago with this piece of family history. Do you remember what hill, I asked, half being polite and half curious to dig for more? No, but your dad used to drive us. Maybe he knows. We are quiet on the line. I'm sitting on my bed in Solano Canyon, watching the neighborhood below my window move slow in the crack of green hills. Anything else, I ask? No, I remembered, and I guess I wanted you to know. She's proud I write poems, and I like to listen to old stories. The hills rise over the houses and traffic of the city like memories gently rising from my aunt's mind as she sits in her 1-bedroom condo in Mesa, Arizona. She doesn't live in LA anymore, but the city doesn't leave her. The flat grid of her new residence makes her dreamy for hills and cactus pads like hearts, and for a brother who drives sisters, aunt, and mother to Montecito Heights on Sunday afternoons so they could have something like home for dinner. And that's the last one I'm gonna read. My dad actually ended up taking me on a tour of LA and showed me the places they lived when they first came from Teocatiche, and he took me to Debs Park. It ended up being Debs Park was where they used to go and pick their nopales from the hills, and that was really cool. Nowadays, my dad makes me nopales for any special occasion. That's like our special love language there. He picks them from the yard and takes off the espinas and then cooks those up for me. And that's a really great memory. And so those are my love poems to LA, my love poems to you and my family. It's kind of all one and the same, isn't it? I love LA, and I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, I don't know what to share. Oh, it's my birthday. It's my birthday on Tuesday, so thank you for letting me celebrate with you. This crown just came in today. That was my birthday present to myself, so I was really excited to wear it today and celebrate and read poetry and talk about my family, and it's just made me so happy. And I can't wait to watch Mike's poems and Luis's poems. And thank you to the Facebook folks. Thank you. I appreciate you all. I hope my poems brought you a little comfort. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, well, see you all. And next up is Mike, the poet Songson, historian, poet, all around great human. And I will see you another time.
Build the bridge, lay down the bricks, fill in the ridges, stack the sticks, feed the fire, consider the cost, take it up high, the city is ours. LA! Our LA voices. It's beautiful to be here today with you all. Big shout out to Xochitl, big shout out to Luis Rodriguez. And I would like to dedicate today's set and today's poetry to my man, Lewis McAdams, who just passed, the founder of the Friends of the LA River. Major influence and major mentor of mine, and a great man who did so much for our city. So this one is for Lewis McAdams. I sing of a river dammed, dumped, pumped, and diverted. I sing of a river they almost murdered. I sing of a river the people forgot. I sing of a river that flows from the rocks. I sing of a river rushing from mountain slopes, snow melt below Mount Wilson, the mouth of the arroyo. I sing of a river with a shifting bottom of soft, sedimentary sandstones and clay mixes with gravel wash from seasonal runoff. I sing of a river less celebrated than world waters, but still powerful enough to wash away a village. I sing of a river that switched beds, underground moisture in the watershed. I sing of a river where much of the water never reached the sea, forming marshes, lagoons, and mudflats. I sing of a river with a huge underground reservoir beneath the San Fernando Valley. I sing of a river that built this city. I sing of a river that provided life for the Tongva tribe, later to be called Gabrielinos. They lived amidst the willows, edible berries, and sycamore trees. I sing of a river where steelhead were hunted by grizzly. I sing of a river with an archipelago of birds, insects, and tiny green particles, foam bubbles, towering power lines, cottonwood trees, tadpoles, and mourning frogs. I sing of a river where pelican songs echo off canyon walls. I sing of a river unknown to many, perhaps first seen in Greece to the Terminator. I sing of a river that's always been here. I sing of a river with tributaries like the Rio Hondo. I sing of a river with a confluence in the Arroyo Seco. I sing of a river weaving through crossroads of freight rails and intersecting freeways. I sing of a river below Metrolink and Gold Line trains. I sing of a river with a bevy of bridges. Merrill Butler built iconic bridges in the city beautiful tradition. I sing of a river where 44 pobladores established the Pueblo of Los Angeles in 1781 at the confluence in the name of Spain and King Carlos III. I sing of a river that was here long before SIG alerts. I sing of a river before concrete, squatter camps, and floating cans of beer. I sing of a river paved in concrete by the Army Corps of Engineers. I sing of a river resurrected one pocket park at a time. Blades of grass breaking concrete, riparian wetlands in the Compton Creek, oleanders in Atwater reinstate the native garden. Lewis McAdams founded the Friends of the Los Angeles River with the power of the word. Like John Kinsella says, poems can stop bulldozers. I sing of a river where wetlands and washes once dominated, witnessed the return of the watershed. And that poem was in honor of Mr. Lewis McAdams, the founder of the Friends of the LA River. For many years, I've been a Los Angeles tour guide, and I like to give city tours. And because we've all been in quarantine and haven't really been able to go anywhere, today's set of poetry is going to be a little mini tour around the city. And I'd like to start this one in Long Beach because I was born in Long Beach. This poem is titled The 562. The 562 is a nexus, a suburban-urban cross-section, a small-town, big city, fluid yet gritty. The 562 is somewhere between Hollywood and Irvine, Santa Monica and Anaheim. The 562 is a good time because its people are down to earth, blessed by birth to be born with vibes of warm, catch that cool ocean breeze blowing in from the beach, and the clouds that come from the south as the coast winds around the peninsula of Palos Verdes. The temperature is perfect. This land was once marshlands and willow thickets intercepted by the LA River, and now surfers and grandparents kick it. The 562 is all-American multicultural, folks from Iowa to Cambodia, El Salvador to Ethiopia, aviation Okies in the aerospace industry, and denizens of Long Beach Groove to Snoop Dogg and Sublime, garage rockers and freestyle rhyme. And on the streets of Long Beach you can find Oil and Signal Hill, Broadway's alternative lifestyles, Art in the East Village, downtown lofts, and rockabilly chillers. And how many poly players are in the NFL? From JoJo's to the Prospector Cohiba to the Blue Cafe, drinking sangria on a hot day, the bar fights groups from 49er to Belmont Shore Ferns to the V-Room, and private parties used to get loose at the Spruce Goose. The 562 is a window into the future with lots of history, like the powerful earthquake of 33. The Pike used to be the place to be, and can we salute Cameron Diaz and the Flavorful family? Respect to Lakewood, Cerritos, Bellflower, Norwalk, Cudahy, Southgate, Compton, to damn near Bell Gardens, not to be confused with the 310. This is the 562, in the middle of SoCal, but its own little world. It's another beautiful day in El Dorado Park, in the place of my birth and in the home of my heart. This is the 562. This next poem is titled "The Feel the Great Streets," and I'd like to dedicate it to all the young activists that are out there making our city a better place. And as LA rediscovers the Garden City and getting back to more pedestrian activity. And so this piece is titled "The Feel the Great Streets." The dawn of a new Los Angeles begins with a feel the great streets. A built environment redefined to improve the quality of living. An infrastructure of beautiful boulevards, arcaded walkways, and public parks. Citizens under the order of art, reveling in a framework of urban choreography, a platform for the body public, the landscape as subject, a culturally vibrant district, sustainable, green, walkable, and connected. A city of civic engagement begins with Feel the Great Streets, promoting interaction in the civic access, open grid patterns, sidewalk activities. Metropolitan movement depends upon access, the dialectic between the public and pedestrian, excuse the backward design of exclusion. Vibrant urban action is magical urbanism. We need that magical urbanism. Long before the super expressways, there was Sepulveda and Imperial Highway. Great streets are essential arteries, the nucleus in the heart of the city. Districts like Thai Town and Little Armenia are touchstones for international citizens. Koreatown, Little Ethiopia, historic Filipino town, Chinatown, Little Tokyo, Little Bangladesh, the backbone is local small business. The Central American Corridor, California, San Salvador, specialty markets, family eateries, density entwines webs of parallel existence, thick in the heart of the inner city. Families depend upon community safety, green belts and parks are the place to be. Social relationships define the city. Power exchanges unfold geographically. Class divisions are divided by topography. The landscape reflects the sociology. The only way to decipher their cartography is to spend time walking the city. Figueroa is the intersection of the avenues. Highland Park to Eagle Rock. Let the people walk from the Southwest Museum to the Coliseum. One time for the Gold Line. Take the Blue Line to LA Live. Lankershim Boulevard holds North Hollywood Lit Crawl. The poetic free-for-all is a literary victory in the heart of the valley. Sherman Way is where auto body and furniture shops melt with Thai restaurants across from the car wash. Sherman runs below descending plains. It's another hot day in the 818. Van Nuys Boulevard runs by a replica of LA's City Hall. Covered bus stops, discount stores, banquet halls, shoe shops, the Van Nuys Bazaar, dried palm fronds, pupusa patios, country stores, rooftop billboards. Reseda Boulevard runs west of Northridge. Northridge was once called North Los Angeles. Reseda bridges Tarzana to Granada Hills to Ventura Boulevard. The valley is a landscape of cowboys and aerospace. Ventura Boulevard is the valley's Wilshire. Studio City to Calabasas, Sherman Oaks and Encino. Learning centers, plant on premises, audio specialists, Coldwater Canyon, delicatessens, private lessons. Western Avenue extends from Los Feliz to Palos Verdes. The peninsula to the Observatory of Los Angeles Story from Koreatown to South LA. Western goes a long way. If you've ever been up at the top of Griffith Park, when you look down, you see Vermont, Normandy, and Western on that straight line all the way down to San Pedro and Palos Verdes. Westwood Boulevard bisects an urban village. Rolling Walk to Wilshire, the West Side Pavilion. Simulate student grammar. Check out the art at On and Hammer. Crenshaw Boulevard starts at Wilshire and ends in the South Bay, the heart of Black LA, from Jefferson Park to Inglewood, forever an iconic neighborhood. Central Avenue holds a legacy of sound. The Dunbar Crown connects at 43rd. The Lincoln Theater and now Three Worlds Cafe. Central gave birth to jazz in LA. Pico Boulevard is an avenue of stars. Santa Monica to Staples Center, Mid-City through Pico Union, Rimpau, Roscoe's, and Robertson. Pico lives Los Angeles lessons. Venice Boulevard runs from Boardwalk to the Fashion District, downtown to Dogtown, Mid-City to Mar Vista. Sepulveda to La Cienega, Centinela to La Brea. Hollywood Boulevard was once called Prospect Avenue, a dirt road with strawberry fields and pepper trees. Now counterfeit celebrities parade Grauman's Chinese. Cesar Chavez was once Brooklyn Avenue and it's still sunset. The sun has never set on Boyle Heights. The history remains ripe in this mecca of LA life. Gaffney and San Pedro slides just west of Cargo Cranes. The old hillside of gun batteries is now Angel's Gate. The Korean friendship belt dwells by Croatian Place. The missing person sang Nobody Walks in LA, and the days of reggae used to be that way. A generation later, it's a brand new day. The Bike Coalition choreographs passageways. Los Angeles walks the four corners of the city, decode the districts, grapple with the grid, hack the cardinal directions, investigate the intersections. The goal is to make it safe for all, a city more equitable, a city more accessible. Multicultural communities for mobility, the pedestrian bill of rights on People's Street. Connect the dots, create vibrant public space, embrace multimodal transit, pay homage to local placemaking, support existing businesses, calm the traffic, increase the walking factor, engage the youth as community ambassadors, make it Mar Vista, revisit Reseda, rethink street theater, reimagine Cesar Chavez, reconfigure the infrastructure. These upgrades can be made without displacement. All residents deserve safety. In a generation of gentrification, it's time for consideration and respect to those who came before. Working together in a city, we can do more. The dawn of a new Los Angeles begins with a feel of great streets, a built environment redefined to improve the quality of living. The dawn of a new Los Angeles begins with a feel of great streets, a built environment redefined to improve the quality of living. And as Louis McAdams showed with the Friends of the Los Angeles River, and as we've been building these new pocket parks and more people are embracing the ideas of the Garden City, everything old is new again. We're getting back to what it was really all about in the first place, which was, back to nature. LA's had this man versus nature dichotomy. Well, big cities all across America really have, but as we embrace and get back to nature, just like the way what's been happening lately. So I would like to give a shout out to everybody out there who's doing their part to get us back to nature. And here's a poem called Los Angeles A to Z. Around Arcadia, Alhambra, and Artesia, after Atwater and Arleta along the Atlantic. Big rig trucks blow by Balboa, Bellflower, Beverly Hills, and Burbank, but not Bergamot. Burbs become connectors. Cool out in Carson, Crenshaw, Covina, Cudahy, Culver City, Coldwater Canyon, Commerce Casino. Commuters catch that crunch down Doheny, delivering goods to Downey. Don't dismiss Dolby in downtown Disney. Eventually, east of El Monte is easier than El Segundo. Exit out of Wanda. Ford factories far faster than Flower, Figueroa. Fontana, Flora, and Fauna. Groves got deposed in Glendale on Glen Oaks. Gates got closed in Garden Grove, Gardena, and Garbanza. How many hosts had high hopes in Hollywood? How about Halloween's home in Hawthorne? Who got hoodooed on Hoover? How about hype and Hacienda Heights? Is it intricate on Imperial? Is industry invisible to individuals in Inglewood? Is it indivisible to jump junctions on Jefferson? Juxtapose jets again. Justice is jettisoned in a jurisdiction kicking it in Koreatown. Catch karma clowns cataloging key kinetic characters living in Los Angeles and Lenox. Look at Long Beach's long streets like Lakewood. Learn about La Mirada, La Palma, La Puente, Lomita, and Lawndale. Meet Morrissey in Montebello, Monte, and Montrose. Make a mark in Monterey Park, maybe more in Monrovia. Nobody knows Norton on Normandy, north of Northridge, nor their neighbors on Nordoff and North Hollywood. Oh, Olympic, Olive, and Olvera Street. Order over in Orange County. Appear on Ontario's Observatory. Operate pedestrians pose in Pico Rivera, pursuing passion in Pasadena. Poured out in Paramount, queue up quickly at Queen of the Valley. Quest quintessentially for quality at Quiet Canyon. Remember Robertson, the Rose Bowl, Rosecrans, Rosemead, Rose Hills. Somewhere south of Santa Ana, Sam Sanders sings San Marino songs. Saluting Soto, touristic trains to Trader Joe's, Tulare and Turnbull Canyon, Torrance, Tujunga, and Tarzana. Under Universal City, up to Union Station, up above University, Voyagers vibe on Vermont and Victory, viewing Van Nuys, Valley Village, and Victorville's vicinity. Wandering west of Watts, watching Western on Winnetka, West Adams, and Westchester. Examine Excelsior's exposition along Ximeno. Exiting Xanadu. You got Young Yogurt on York Boulevard. Youthful Unity in Yosemite. Zanku is Zen. Zone into the zeitgeist and zip up your zoot suit and zoom, 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 zoom. Zion to Zuma. LA A to Z. We love our city, just like Xochitl said, we love our city, and what a beautiful place to be. LA County's got 88 cities, and LA is such a 58 counties in California. I love the ideas of geographic literacy and celebrating the city through a few poems. Here's one more. The riots went the week before my prom, a month and a half before graduation. Southern California was a time bomb. Race relations worn like Vietnam. My crew more like the United Nations. The riots were the week before my prom. SoCal needed mindfulness like Thich Nhat Hanh. Multicultural coalitions for communication. Southern California was a time bomb. Tired citizens needed a new song. All the broadcasts played nonstop frustration. The riots were the week before my prom. 3 months later, I moved out of my mom's. UCLA, my emancipation. Southern California was a time bomb. Poetry and music made it more calm. Journal writing became my salvation. The riots were the week before my prom. Southern California was a time bomb. Before I do a few more poems, I'd like to shout out a couple of really cool books about LA. Big, huge influence for me has been Judy Baca, who of course did the Great Wall of Los Angeles along Coldwater Canyon. And she's done so many amazing murals across the city. And another book that's very interesting, it's from a Los Angeles graffiti writer who is now a PhD cultural geographer called Going All City. This is from Cisco, from the CBS crew, now known as Stefano Block. Great book about the San Fernando Valley, growing up in the San Fernando Valley and the graffiti culture of LA in the 80s and the 90s. Another couple other great books. This is The Power of Place by Dolores Hayden. And it was really influential on the public art scene of LA. Dolores Hayden is also a poet and urban planner, and really, really wonderful book. And then a brand new book from Wanda Coleman, Selected Poems, called Wicked Enchantment, and Terrence Hayes put this together. It's a Selected Poems of Wanda. And one more book to show you before I do a couple more poems is the brand new book by Mr. Mike Davis, Set the Night on Fire, LA in the 60s. Get this, it's the history of the movements in the 60s. Actually, I got to show you one more. Music Finds a Way from Steve Iswawardi, an oral history of the Pan-African People's Orchestra growing up, Horace Tapscott's Pan-African People's Orchestra growing up in Watson, Compton in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So those are a couple of great books that I really love. And now I'm going to do a couple more poems and close it out. This poem is called Arrival Stories. And as you all know, the only people that are really the true natives of Southern California would, of course, be the Tongva, that were the indigenous residents. But this is a poem called Arrival Stories about how many different people have shown up in LA and have come to LA from all over the world. If you listen, they will tell you. I was born in Vancouver, which is a beautiful city. We came from Paraguay in South America. I was born in Seoul, Korea. We lived there until I was 5. We packed everything up into our Toyota Corolla. I drove cross country, went across Oklahoma and Texas. I really came to LA by way of Las Vegas. I often think of LA as being like a big circus. Man, I am constantly tripping off the city. My grandparents all built Little Italy. Their story is also tied up with Pasadena. My father was this young kid from Oregon. His first job was in a nursery. I loved instantly the casualness of outdoor living and passion for sports. Back then, the barn had a creek running by it. It came in about 1911. He opened up a barbershop in North Broadway, a couple blocks south of New Chinatown. My mother would always tell me stories about Japanese occupation. Grandpa Duval was a car salesman. My family is of Indian heritage. I went to East LA College and studied Spanish, French, and English. My dad spent a lot of time at the YMCA. I studied interdisciplinary studies at Cal State LA. My parents were born in Kenya, as was I. I worked in a laboratory in UCLA. They also lived in South LA, the 89th, and Vermont. My mother was in a poker game from Colorado. She came up from Kansas City for $5. Los Angeles is a dream, the pace is slower. 24 blind teenagers from Los Angeles Junior Blue Army taught me how to read the city. You have the transverse ranges that end with San Gorgonio and go west all the way out to the ocean. And the peninsula ranges end with San Jacinto and then go south all the way down into Mexico. It was the night of instrumental hip-hop and freehand drawing, but I usually just danced all night. In spite of having grown up in antagonistic political systems, we held a compatible sense of ethics. We took 19 days crossing the Pacific, so why should we hold grudges? Our final port of call was San Francisco. There was a lot of optimism and hope. It was the age of Aquarius around the world. We took Ekalo to see Totoro the Egyptian. I was born in San Fernando, and Trinidad, not in the Valley. I mean, there we were in a tropical paradise. Our weekends were filled with trips to the beach. There were Afghan refugees and live musicians. People would go across the canyons, guys and girls. And there was a sense of community because you had long hair. Maybe you had a guitar, rebab, harmonic, tabla, Afghan bazaar singers, 100 cousins of every single religion and nationality. When they spin, they expel their egos and bring in the ecstasy of the source of creation. I would go to Barnesdale Park and sit on the grassy hilltop. I'd have to make runs all over town almost every day, usually in various degrees of heavy traffic. I mastered the art of not hitting the brakes on the freeway of LA. I became a maestro of the slow crawl. I fell in love. I was moved by the weather. I walk in the canyons and climb the local hills. I look out to the Channel Islands and see a ship on the water. The common denominator is people come to LA to make a life for themselves. It's like being on a yellow brick road. It's wonderful. You can really leave the past behind. I made a determination to turn the physics of hip-hop into a workbook. Memories become fables, families immortalized and mythologized for their survival, reborn upon arrival. If you listen, they will tell you. That's another thing I really love. If you listen, they will tell you. People's stories, oral history is really the backbone of the city. As a journalist as well as a poet, I really love the people's stories, and that's really the backbone of poetry and really the birthplace of even music and art. So many things come out of our stories and our narratives, and our LA Voices really celebrates that. And I love this idea of sharing authority. The city belongs to all of us. That's why it's our LA. The city belongs to every one of us, and this idea of sharing authority is something that's really, really important. So I'm still alive in Los Angeles. I'm still alive in Los Angeles. I'm still alive in Los Angeles, even as the price of rent rises and gridlock strangles central arteries. I'm old enough to remember disco parties and the build-up to the 1984 Olympics and news reporters like Jerry Dunphy and Hal Fishman. I remember when Fernando Valenzuela was a rookie. Years before I loved Wanda Coleman and Bukowski, my first LA poets were Chick Hearn and Vince Scully. Then I read Mike Davis and Kerry McWilliams and watched the gospel of Huell Hauser, looking at things that aren't here anymore, and calling form of glory like Ralph's story. I'm still exploring from Panorama City to Pomona. I'm still alive in Los Angeles as they build high-speed trains down Crenshaw and out into the San Gabriel Valley. Changes in transportation for the new generation foreshadow the nation's transformation as millennials on bicycles call for return to the Garden City. Green in the 21st century is a matter of survival. Witness the revival of the wetlands. The riparian watershed is a sentinel for sustainability. Unbridled consumption is a liability. Observe residents of Angel City playing their part to restore nature's heart. I'm still alive in Los Angeles. From festivals to funerals, baby showers to weddings, each generation ever more beautiful, realities ever musical, throngs of people mixed and matched, creating the patchwork mosaic of multicultural souls coming together to call LA home. The community is a poem in progress called Los Angeles. The angels in the city sing the synchronicity from Central to Century City. Olympic was 10th Street, and Pio Pico was the last governor of California when it belonged to Mexico. He was born a Spanish citizen. See the city's Zen soaring to Satoy on a Saturday morning, circling the Evergreen Cemetery or hiking up hills in Culver City. I'm still alive in Los Angeles as mamas monitor laundromats. From Lancashire to Long Beach, I walk along streets from Magnolia to Manchester Rosemead to Redondo Beach. I'm still alive in Los Angeles, though there's no more open space. Most of the wetlands have been replaced by condos, Trader Joe's, and makeshift dog parks. The expanding corporate heart charts a frenzied facelift of never-ending Christmas, but only a few are on that wish list. There's the generation of kids on Snapchat and commuters want that fast track. Alive in Los Angeles. I'm still alive in Los Angeles thanks to family, friends, and poetry. The past, present, and future of my city gives me energy. Untold generations of history from Biddy Mason to Chavez Ravine to Toyo Miyazaki, punctuating the power of place, turning the page, sharing authority, because we all share the story of the city unfolding. There's no hierarchy. We all belong to the city. It's all her story. I'm still alive in Los Angeles. Today I drive around LA with my son and my daughter like I once rode with my grandfather. There's no more Perinos of the Brown Derby, but there's still Fossman's, Coles, Philippe's in the pantry. My children spill ice cream in the backseat with me. Together we are alive in the city of destiny. I'm still alive in Los Angeles. I'm still alive in Los Angeles. I'm still alive in Los Angeles. LA! LA! Thank you so much, everybody. I love you all. The city is ours. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Here's to you and your families. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, that was amazing. What a treat to hear, to see Mike the poet and Xochitl-Julisa.
Yeah. Incredible. Thank you so much to both poets for sharing your work, for sharing your words and wisdom. Poetry is so powerful in general, and especially at times like this. So that was amazing.
Yes, definitely. I felt that their work really captured Los Angeles, the Los Angeles that I know and have experienced.
Absolutely. And that's just the tip of the iceberg right now, because we're about to introduce more poetry. This is a real treat. I'm super excited. I texted my dad and I was like, at 7:02 p.m., Luis Rodriguez is going to be reading poetry. So you better tune in. So family is tuning in. And we're going to go ahead and introduce Luis J. Rodriguez, Los Angeles Poet Laureate from 2014 to 2016. His latest book is called Borrowed Bones from Curbstone Northwestern University Press. Luis Rodriguez is best known for the memoirs Always Running, La Vida Loca, Gang Days in LA, and It Calls You Back, an odyssey through love, addiction, revolutions, and healing. Luis J. Rodriguez is going to start at 7:02 p.m. right after this break. So stick around and enjoy.
Hello, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm glad and honored to be here with the amazing poets, Xochitl-Julisa and Mike Sonkson. And I want to share a few things myself. I am Luis J. Rodriguez. I'm honored to be part of Grand Park's Our Alley Voices. And I really appreciated that Mike Sonkson was able to shout out the Tongva people, the original peoples of this land. I want to honor them, as well as the Tataviam, the Chumash, and other peoples that were genocided in this state, but they're still around. They're still families. There's still people here, the original peoples. One thing about me is my mother is Tarahumara, which is a tribe, major tribe in Chihuahua, Mexico. They're also known as the Ramuri. They're related to all the California tribes, linguistically, culturally, in a lot of ways. They're actually related tribes all over the US, because before there was borders, there was a lot of interaction and people were just the people. And now the borders come and nobody recognizes our Mexican, Chicano, indigenous roots. Other people don't know who they are. We've lost so much, but I do go back to them because I know my mother was very clear to make it an issue for me, to make sure I wouldn't forget. I want to do kind of a prose piece that I wrote from my new book. Actually, the new book is a book of essays called From Our Land to Our Land. It's my first book of essays. This is my 16th book. I just keep putting them out because there's so much to say. And I will read some poetry as well, but I want to start with this. It's part of an essay called The End of Belonging. A week after the national elections in November of 2016, a muscle-bound, tattooed white man stood outside a large room at San Bernardino Valley College in California, berating the mostly brown-skinned students trying to get inside. He lashed out about how they didn't belong and were criminals and job stealers. You know, the usual corrosive anti-Mexican rants that have soared in number since Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. The college had invited Chicanx spoken word artist Matt Cedillo and me to speak and read poems. A few people wanted to chase off the dude. Security had already been called. I'd said I'd prefer for him to come in and listen. If he still wanted to rant, we'd handle it. Sure enough, he found a seat among the standing room only crowd in attendance, about 400 people. I told the group that even though I'm of Mexican descent, I'm no immigrant. My mother had roots with the Tarahumara people from the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. This tribe is associated linguistically and in other ways with the Hopi, Shoshone, Paiute, Tohono O'odham, Pueblo peoples, all the way down to the Mexica of Central Mexico, the Pipila of El Salvador, and Nahuatl-speaking tribes in Nicaragua. In fact, they have ties in many ways with tribes throughout the hemisphere. Just before I was born, my mother crossed an international bridge from Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico, to El Paso, Texas. The year was 1954. I'm a so-called anchor baby, and so what? Migrants from Europe included many pregnant women lining up at Ellis Island, some ready to burst. More than 350 babies were born there in its 60-year history. Those migrants knew because of law that a U.S.-born child helped their petition for residency and later citizenship. Demeaning anyone for making the best case they can for themselves is ridiculous. More notably, the Chihuahuan Desert cuts a large swath through the U.S. and southwest and northern Mexico. The Rarámuri have resided in the Chihuahua Desert for at least 8,000 years of the desert's existence, way before the Spanish, Portuguese, English, or French, before borders, before, quote, legal documents. El Paso, Texas, is within the confines of this desert, which intersects two nations and several states. When my mother gave birth to me across the border, we went from our land to our land. I wanted to make that clear in this essay book and everywhere that the Mexicans, the Salvadorians, the Guatemalans, the Hondurans, many of them already in detentions across the border and being pushed away are migrants, and their ties are to this land tens of thousands of years old. So in honor of the original peoples of LA, the Tongva, the Taviam, Chumash, and other peoples, I wanted to bring that out. I wanted to share a poem that has to do with the work I do in prisons. And some of the people know that I've been going to prisons, juvenile halls, jails, homeless shelters, and all kinds of migrant camps for over 40 years. It's some of the work I love. I do workshops, classes, creative writing classes. I do healing circles. I've done one-time poetry readings, one-time lectures. But recently, over the last 13 years, with a little hiatus there in between, I've been at the only California state prison in Los Angeles County, which most people know as Lancaster State Prison. I've had wonderful experiences there. The men that I work with are high security men in high security yards, but they come to my classes with stories, with poetry, with spoken words. Some even have plays, novels, short stories, scripts. Some have been writing for years. Some have never really written. But I've worked with them very closely to make sure that their voices, their stories would resonate. So this month, in fact, Dia Chucha Press, the press I started 30 years ago in Chicago, and I'm still the founding editor, part of a great culture center we have here in Silmar, in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, called Dia Chucha Centro Cultural and Bookstore. We're going to put out an anthology of writing from my classes at Lancaster State Prison, co-edited by Kenneth E. Hartman, who was one of my students starting over 13 years ago and since then, and now has been released. He was given a commutation to come out after serving 38 years in California state prisons. He is my friend. He's a great writer and he's an editor, and I'm honored to be co-editor with him in this book. I'm gonna read a poem that is not. It has the same title of the book. The book is called "Make a Poem Cry," and it comes from a line by one of my participants, one of my classes. His name is Jimmy McMillan, who's still incarcerated. And the line that this comes from goes like this: "I can't see him coming from my eye, so I had to make this poem cry." And to me, it's one of the most powerful lines I'd ever seen in any poet, any poetry, and particularly when you know that it's coming from an incarcerated person. So I'm going to share this poem, Make a Poem Cry, in his honor and the honor of all the men. I'm worried about these men in the California state prison system. I'm worried that most of them are being locked down. All programming has stopped. All visits have stopped. I've heard that some of them don't know what's happening. Some of them being moved around. I'm sure that everybody's doing the best they can to safeguard them, but I am concerned. I fear that things aren't that well. And I'm concerned also for the families who want to make sure that their men and women in these institutions are safe, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. So let me go ahead and read this poem for all the incarcerated men and women, the formerly incarcerated, and the families of the incarcerated. You can chain the body, the face, the eyes, the way hands move coarsely over cement or deftly on tattooed skin with needle. You can cage the weathered membrane, the weathered dream, the way razor wire, shouts, yells, and batons can wither spirit. But how can you imprison a poem? How can a melody be locked up, locked down? Yes, even cage birds sing, even grass sprouts to asphalt, even a flower blooms in a desert. And the gardens of trauma we call the incarcerated can also spring with the vitality of a deep thought, an emotion buried beneath the facades, deep as rage, deep as grief, the grief beneath all ragers. The blood of Shut's poems, songs, emotions, thoughts, dances are what flow in all art, stages, films, books. The keys to liberation are in the heart, in the mind, behind the cranial sky. The imagination is boundless, the inexhaustible in any imprisoned system. And remember, we are all in some kind of prison. If only the contrived freedoms society professes can flow from such water. That's dedicated to the wonderful, amazing men and women locked up, but also trying to find their liberation, most of it through art, creativity, imagination. I want to share a poem. I'm just going to do a little journey here. We're going to hit different things. I'm going to share a poem to my mother. The first community that we moved to when we moved from the Ciudad Juarez area of Mexico was in Watts in South Central LA. The first community I recall, the first community I remember when you ever get consciousness. I was 2 years old. We moved there. I first went to school there. I was there till about age 8. And so I consider Watts one of the key communities that I've been in. One of the fortunate things about myself is I lived all over Los Angeles. So I've had laid my heads down in the harbor, San Pedro. I have laid my head down in Watts and in Florence and in Huntington Park and Maywood. I have laid my head down in Boyle Heights and City Terrace and of course San Gabriel Valley, South San Gabriel, I was also living in Lincoln Heights and Highland Park and so many communities. And now I've been in the San Fernando Valley for 20 years. So LA is my home. I know LA very well. But I want to read this poem to one of my earliest memories of my mother, the Tarahumara descendant woman who people may not know the Tarahumaras when they're living traditionally on this. Wildfires are metaphor and reality for internal and external terrains, where the city is music, but also muscles. A rain dance, often with no rain, neon glare and smog tint skyline held together in the spider web of freeways. It's a place where even jacarandas and palm trees are transplants. This is where the city's buildings are bricked and nailed together with survival stories, war stories, love stories, the kind of harrowing accounts Los Angeles unfurls at 3 a.m. when ghosts meander along the upturned pavement or rumble by on vintage cars, and all-night diners convert into summits for the played out, heartsick, and suicidal. There's a migrant soul in this rooted city, Skid Row next to the Diamond District, waves of foam against barnacle piers, cafes and boutiques next to botanicas, ravines and gullies turn into barrios, rustic homes with gardens dot bleak cityscapes, and suburbs burst with world-class graffiti. Fragmented yet cohesive, Los Angeles demands reflection on ourselves and the unstable ground we call home, where people die for lack of a roof or food or compassion. As renowned LA writer John Fonte would say, these persons are songs over sidewalks. They are imaginations on the interchange, humanity that observes connection, touch, breath. These roads, bridges, and alleys also contain concertos. Breezes over the ocean's darkest depth are replete with harmonies, and a howling moon and red sunset serve as backdrops for every aching interlude. Los Angeles is where every step rhymes, where languages flit off tongues like bows across strings, skateboarders and aerosol spray cans clatter in a daily percussion, and even angels intone, "We can do better, we can do better," while haggling at garage sales. So I am really honored to have been able to read here. Please go to my website, luisjrodriguez.com. And if you're looking for books, we do have at Tia Chuta's Centro Cultural and Bookstore an online bookstore. You can get any book you want. You can get Tia Chucha Press books at 50% discount right now. You can get my books. You can get a lot of string of books anywhere book you want. And that's at tiachu.com/bookstore. Everyone around the world can order these books. We need to have people buy books, read, and study, and get out in the world. I just want to end with, again, my thanks to Grant Parks, our LA Voices. My thanks to everybody, the great poets that I heard so far, Xochitl-Julisa and Mike Saxon, everybody who put this together. And I hope we continue. Their voices are needed. I want to be able to say this COVID-19 pandemic has shown many of the fissures, many of the fractures in our economy, on our society, but I also think it's opened up the imagination for another way to go, a new way of seeing. Something new is rising up, one that will encompass everybody, one that will embrace everyone, and one that will give hope and real needs met in a world that we need, a world that I know is possible. I want to leave you all with that message. Leave you all with the message that poetry can save lives. Leave you all with the concept that all of us together, working together, can change what's happening. We don't have to accept the way things have been. We don't want to go back to normal, because normal wasn't too good the last time we left it, with homelessness and drug addictions and suicides and people not working with livable wages and everything. We need to move forward now, move forward to something new and vital. That's what I think poets and artists and creative people do, to help point the way, to help allow us to see that we can get through this, to create a mythic imagination for the world that we're entering. So I want to give my best to everybody. Thank you again. Bye-bye. You guys are all good. I hope I still have some, I'm not sure if I have some time. I think I'm done. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Love you all. Bye-bye. Okay.
Yes. So snaps, major snaps to Luis J. Rodriguez. That was incredible. I am so happy that he was part of this program, and I definitely very strongly identify as a Chicana, and being from LA. To hear his work is so impactful. And I just thank Grant Park and Luis J. Rodriguez for being part of this programming today and allowing us to be part of it too, Yeah. Yes, I can't hear you. Is your mic on?
Oh, yes. I'm right here. Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, what a treat. LA Poet Laureate. Just like you, Mala, my Mexican family is from Chihuahua. My mom is from Ciudad Juarez. So I definitely connected with his poetry, and just an incredible opportunity to be able to introduce him and to hear him at Grand Park's LA Voices 2020.
Gorgeous. I loved even the conversation he had at the beginning of his of his time, where he talked about indigenous peoples of Southern California and Northern Mexico. He talked about Tarahumara, Raramuri people. My father is of Tarahumara and Yaqui descent. So it was just all very beautiful and full circle. And there's more. There's more. We're not done yet with Grand Park, our LA Voices programming. Can you believe it? A stacked lineup.
Yes. What a day it has been, truly. So, to close out today's wonderful, beautiful festival, we are getting ready to introduce Visual Communications, which is a nonprofit dedicated to developing and supporting the voices of Asian Americans and Pacific Islander filmmakers and media artists, and exhibit community-driven screenings that highlight the socio-political intersections of identity and place in Asian American discourse.
So what will we watch? As exemplified in this collection of works, culled from Visual Communications Vanguard, armed with a camera fellowship for emerging media artists, Los Angeles is more than a city. It is a construct that shifts and quakes with each vision, each oppositional perspective by Asian Americans. So spanning the breadth of AWC's portfolio of nearly 150 micro movies produced since 2002, we're able to reveal just a glimpse into the visions and perspectives of Native Angelenos and how each of them, us, view their lives in the City of Angels.
Amazing. I'm so excited to see the films, and that Grand Park brought such a diverse slate for the very first day. I'm so proud and so excited. This is amazing. ¿Qué más queremos?
Yes. ¿Qué más quieren? Honestly, right? This is LA. This is everything. Again, the virtual charcuterie. We have a little bit of everything. It's a sampler.
Yes,
so thank you so much for
yes,
joining us. Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody at home. Just as a reminder, we have been your hosts for today. I'm Mala.
And I'm Diosa.
And we are Las Locatoras of Locatora Radio, a radiophonic novela.
Which is a really, really extremely extra way of saying a podcast.
It's
and
a podcast.
We have been your hosts for
today. So the film,
yes,
all of our films are starting at 7:40 p.m. Make sure to check those out. Tune in. Thank you for supporting Grand Park, Our Voices LA 2020. This has been a lot of fun.
This has been a lot of fun. And be sure to join us tomorrow, Sunday, April 26th. The programming will begin at 9 a.m. with Girl Museum. And make sure you download your coloring sheets at grandparkla.org. Again, you can check all this out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to keep up with all of the live programming all day long.
And you can follow us, Locatora Radio, on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're at Locatora_radio. You can tune into our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audio Boom. Check us out. It's been really nice. Thank you all. Besitos.
Thank you. Besitos.